Welcome to our last session of evangelism and communication, and today we're going to look at some tools to use in evangelism that I'm going to share with you just to use in order to give you some more tools how to share your faith about Jesus Christ. So in this beautiful book we've done, when you go past the book on evangelism, past appendix number 2, page 65, you'll see there's a section on communication the gospel across cultures, and it is written by Reverend Sam Opong, and it is an African perspective. This is really helpful for both Africans and people who intend to share the gospel with people on the African continent, because the people in the African continent have a unique worldview and a beautiful culture that is really so nice to explore. One of the many gifts God have given the Africans is the ability to sing. And my goodness, sometimes it is like the angels singing with us, the strong voices and the rich culture of dancing and singing is so beautiful. And I always enjoy the African churches so much by the people dancing and singing and expressing their faith in so many ways. So for us as outsiders, that is a very important topic to understand, is the culture of people who grew up in Africa. And Brother Sam Opong, he's originally from Ghana, and he really made a deep study on African culture from an African perspective. And he really gave us this beautiful book which you really need to read. And I really want to encourage you, even if you are from Africa, just to think about how to communicate the gospel effectively. You know, Africa is a rich continent, and even though most African people believe in some form of animism, and ancestors and the honoring of ancestors play such an important role, there's really some very important keys in communication. So this book is divided into 13 chapters. There's an introduction where Sam Opong he introduced himself, and he's really a very good scholar. I had the privilege of meeting him in Ghana in 1995, and wow, what an impression. A real godly man, well read, a good scholar, but such a heart for the gospel, and he made such a huge impact. I had the privilege of staying with him in a hotel for a week as we introduced Bible Training Center for Pastors, and he was also the person who initiated this BTCP, for those of you who have done it. And he also played an important role in rolling out the Biblical Training Center for which you are doing, that's part of Leadership International. So after the introduction, the first important chapter is the definition of culture. And that's really helpful to understand that cultures is deeply based on values. What is important? And that is true not only of African culture, but of all cultures. So you have a worldview or religion, you have cultures, you have institutions and behaviors and customs. And sometimes we want to change a custom, especially if we come from outside and we see there's a custom that is ungodly. We want to address that. But below the custom, there's institutions, there's values, and there's a worldview. And the gospel of Jesus Christ first need to change the worldview, and then people will recognize. It is like you see a person is dirty, and then you give him clean clothes, but you don't change his deep thoughts. You're just changing him on the outside. So if a person is dirty, you have to wash him properly and then give him good clean clothes. You know, Jesus said you cannot put new wine in new wineskins. So this is a total transformation process, and that is what this first chapter is. And then cultures and the individual. So coming from a Western worldview, we are very individualistic. People in the Middle East, people in Africa, and people in India is very communicative. The family is very important. They have values like losing face. Family, the importance of keeping the family's name high. So we need to understand that. Then the gospel in culture is the next chapter, and he really gives some good examples about that. Then Christ and culture, very important for us to understand what is Christ's role in culture. Then theology in culture, the church in culture, very important that we do not colonize what we see so much even in today when we go to places like India and Africa. They sing songs that is sung by great big churches in the United States and in Australia, and we try to use music that is foreign to us. And that is why I will always encourage you to write music that's unique to your language, to your culture, so that it can speak deep into your worldview. The challenge of communication, here you can see just a survey they did in Ghana. That will bring us to God and the gods. And then worship, chapter 10, sacrifices and offerings, missionary role, the role of the Word of God, and culture, bridges for communication, and then some conclusions. So as a facilitator, I encourage you to do something with your students to make sure they've read it, either give you a summary or let them, each student, present a chapter in the book. But this is for self-reading. It is beautifully written. You can read it, underwrite it, make notes, and make sure that you understand this beautiful book that Brother Sam Apong have so gratefully given to us to read from an African perspective.